Goose Creek native and current Goose Creek resident Sharina Haynes is the new president of the Goose Creek NAACP. This comes 17 years after her mother founded the Goose Creek NAACP. I speak exclusively with Sharina for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Sharina Haynes, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Obviously, you're celebrating because you have some big news. You were just elected as the president of the Goose Creek NAACP just recently. Where are you emotionally?
Oh gosh. Well, I am happy. I'm happy to be president of the branch. The branch is about 16, 17 years old now. And it was founded by my mom. And so I've been active in it since probably high school, on and off. And I got really active when I moved back home after college. And so I'm excited to kind of see where the branch can go. Goose Creek is growing. And I want to make sure that our community is represented in the growth of Goose Creek. And so I think I'm excited. I think that's the word.
And I know that, obviously the Goose Creek NAACP was founded 16, 17 years ago by your mom. What's the biggest difference now?
Well, I think technology, of course. Goose Creek is bigger, I would say. And I grew up in Goose Creek. I'm from Goose Creek, and it's always been very diverse. But I think it's even more diverse now. And so I think just making sure that everyone knows that the Goose Creek has an NAACP. Making sure that everyone knows that, we're all inclusive and we are just reaching out to anyone who may need help in any kind of way that's under kind of the mission of the NAACP. So for that, I think it's just more diversity now. And yeah, just kind of the things that we're tackling now are new, especially with COVID and everything like that. So.
And let me ask you this, Sharina, what are the political, social, and economic equalities that you want for all Goose Creek residents?
Oh, that is a great question. Okay, so for all Goose Creek residents, what I want and what is really under the mission of the NAACP is equality, equality and inclusion. And so I think that is what's most important. I think that if people have a stake in the community, then that people will feel like their opinions are heard. And I want to ensure that everyone has an equal playing field in terms of healthcare, in terms of economic development in the city, housing, of course, education. So those are the things that I am hoping that our branch will be able to bring to the forefront in Goose Creek.
Let me break that down and let me ask you this. Where will you improve financial literacy for at least 50 people in Goose Creek?
Well, financial literacy, of course, with COVID, it's difficult. But what we want to do is the city of Goose Creek does have an economic development council. And so we have been in talks with them and the board, coming up with possible town halls, reaching out to minority-owned businesses, and kind of trying to see where they need help, making sure that people are applying for grants and know that there is opportunity out there. Times are tough for a lot of people, especially businesses. And so, of course, that's always kind of triple on a minority business. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that they have the information, and that's where we're planning our town halls. We want the community to get involved. And even if you can't come physically to the meeting, a lot of the meetings are virtual, just so that they know that, hey, we are informed about this and be on the lookout for us and keep us informed. So.
Yes, ma'am. And what policies would you support that increase housing security in Goose Creek?
Well, the housing issue is so broad because affordable housing is an issue in Charleston, period. And so what I have found is people are coming, more north because it's cheaper. And so that's another thing that kind of goes into the growth of Goose Creek. We have a lot more people because in a lot of ways, Goose Creek is cheaper than a lot of other cities. But I would still say Goose Creek is still a little, expensive. A lot of people can't afford, $1,000 rent. And so what I would like us to see is to have more. We have a lot of apartments going up, but I would like to know about if there are any vouchers that people can have to utilize, more diversity and more economic growth for people to kind of get their feet on the ground and running. I would like to make sure that there are more things being built that are inclusive. And so making sure that even though people have these like salary increases and things like that, we want to make sure that we're not locking people out because they don't qualify. And so I think vouchers is a good way for that to happen. It's a lot of growth, and I think that our city is very, of course, diverse, and we want to make sure that as many people are able to benefit from being in Goose Creek as possible because it's a great city.
And what opportunities with the Goose Creek support as far as living wage employment opportunities would you actually support?
Well, nationally, the NAACP does support raising the minimum wage. And so on that level, we as a branch, of course, we work through our national kind of game changers and our motives. And so I would love to see us kind of working with politicians to kind of talk about raising the minimum wage. I believe right now the minimum wage is $7.35. And it's just kind of really hard it's almost impossible to make a living off of that. And so I would like to talk to, local officials and even local businesses, because a lot of times people feel like, oh, well, I can't afford to give an employee $15 an hour. And so I just think that what we need is kind of education on what all we can, include in that $15 an hour, and making sure that people know that there are ways to make sure that everyone has a fair shot and make sure that everyone, can have the essentials of life and not have to feel like they're just kind of don't have anything at the end of the month because everything's kind of going towards bills.
And where exactly do you improve the political, educational, social, and economic status of minority groups in Goose Creek?
Okay, so as far as the Goose Creek branch, we have speakers. We meet every fourth Monday at 7 p.m. And we meet virtually. And what we do is we have different community leaders that come and talk to us about events. And it's not just for branch members. You don't have to be a member of the NAACP. You can be a member of the community. You can be anyone. We're nonpartisan. And so anyone is welcome with their ideas. And so with that being said, we have town halls, we have celebrations, of course now virtually. In terms of education, we have given out scholarships for the last 5 or 6 years to local high schools in the Goose Creek area. And with that, we've had a luncheon and we've been able to commemorate and acknowledge students who are graduating from high school, going on to a 2 or 4 year school. And we've also been able to highlight educators in Berkeley County who don't always kind of get the flowers that they deserve. And so someone like Mr. Willis Sanders, who was the former principal of Westview, Sedgefield Middle School, he was a person that got an award from us. Dr. Glenda Levine. We have had a lot of people that we've tried to highlight in the Berkeley County area just to kind of let them know that we do see what they're doing. And so with education, I think education is our main highlight as a branch the last couple of years. Another thing that we do every year in terms of the arts is the Black Heritage Stamp unveiling. And so we always incorporate that in February with our Black History Month program. And we always kind of give that to a deserving organization. And so this year, we had it, of course, virtually, and we unveiled August Wilson. And we were able to give that stamp to Goose Creek High School's Berkeley Arts Center. They have a magnet school. And so we just want to make sure that we are highlighting people in Goose Creek and organizations in Goose Creek that may not always get that same highlight. And then we're also in the process of creating a health initiative with our state level to talk about the vaccine, make sure that people in our community are getting the vaccine, that people are educated. We've had February, was Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Week in February, and so we had a speaker come and talk to us about that. And so there are a lot of different things that we try to get out to the community that kind of cover economic, education, health, political action also.
And where is that economic, educational, social status in Goose Creek? What does that look like in your mind?
Okay. Well, I think it looks great. Not great. Okay, it looks good. I think it looks good. I think that you can come to Goose Creek and I think you can make a living and you can be a part of a diverse community. That being said, I think that there are some things that we can work on, especially economic. Like I said, I think that affordable housing is something that is incredibly important to the livelihood of people who live here in Goose Creek. And I think that Goose Creek is aware of that. And what the city has done is the city has definitely implemented boards and city council. They're always kind of reaching out to people and asking them to share their opinions. And so I think that it gives us a really good opportunity to voice our concerns and, it be in a positive way.
And how do you achieve equality of rights and eliminate race prejudice among the citizens of Goose Creek?
I think the best way to do that, especially in this day and age, is just communicating. So many of us, I feel are not communicating, and it's kind of, it's very hot and cold or black and white. And so I think what we need to do as the NAACP is we need to go out there in the trenches and talk to people, maybe even people that you wouldn't necessarily talk to, and find out their concerns and their needs. And we need to kind of find some common ground, because I think that ultimately, especially now, you think about the killings in Atlanta on March 17th, and I think it's just important for us to have solidarity. You know what I mean? We're all fighting something, and we want to make sure that, our voices are heard, and we want to, I think that if we talk more and have a little bit more compassion, we will see that we have a lot more in common than we do different.
And speaking of which, what barriers of racial discrimination do democratic processes need to be removed right now in your mind?
Oh gosh. Well, I would love to see South Carolina get a hate crime bill. Also, I believe the redistricting is something that is very important. Redlining and gerrymandering has a huge effect on the economic growth of a city or a town or even a neighborhood. I would like to see more conversation about that. And again, I would also like to see an increase in the minimum wage.
And let me ask you this: what enactment and enforcement of federal, state, and local laws would you seek to secure as far as civil rights?
Great. So what I would like to see in terms of civil rights, again, is the hate crime bill. South Carolina is one of 3 states that does not have the hate crime bill. And I know that Representative Gilliard and Representative Moore have been in the trenches trying to get that to happen. I would love to coordinate with them to get more people on board with it, because I think that a lot of it is just about education. And I think that some people may not even be aware of it. And then I know that it's on the floor now, and I think that there's some conversation about the wording and the verbiage and things like that. And I just think that we all should take part in, our democratic process. And this is a part of our democratic process. And I think sometimes we think, oh, well, they'll figure that out, or, well, it's on the floor, so it's okay. And, then you have things like amendments, and then you have things that can affect, how effective this bill is. And so I would like to just get that communication out to everyone, including myself, um, to make sure that people understand what it means to have something like, a hate crime bill. Yeah, so that's what I'm definitely looking into
Well,
with our branch.
speaking of which, how will you inform the public of the adverse effects of racial discrimination?
Well, what I would like to do again, it's so difficult because of COVID. And I know that a lot of people are just kind of zoom out, but I think right now, the most effective way for us to do it is virtually. I think it's virtual. I think we have to have town halls. We have to have people who are willing to come on and talk about, the experts talk about what they feel we should be fighting for and giving all of the information to the people and letting them make a decision. I think that within NAACP, what I would like us to implement is I would like for us to utilize our virtual environment and town halls, um, any type of sessions, going to churches when we are able to, and kind of talking to them about voting, making sure that members are registered. I would like to, at some point, even kind of reach out to the high school students and the teachers, making sure that their seniors are registered to vote. Maybe even zooming in to their civics class and, kind of informing them, okay, this is, how a bill becomes law, things like that. Because, you take it for granted, but a lot of people really don't know. So I think those are the ways that we can, enforce change as a branch.
And you talk about the branch. What are those unique challenges and opportunities for your Goose Creek NAACP?
Well, one of the things I think is membership. We are actively looking for members. We are a small branch, of course. We are one of the younger branches in the area. And so, what I would like us to see is to increase our membership, because the more people we have, the more ideas we'll have. And of course, with more people, we can cover more ground. And so I think that is one of our main challenges. And just kind of getting the word out that, hey, we're here, we're in Goose Creek. What are some of your concerns in Goose Creek? And how can we help? We may not be able to help with everything, but maybe we can put you in a position where you can feel like your voice is being heard. And it's not just for African Americans, we are for the racial equality of all people.
Yes, ma'am. And let me ask you this. How do you recruit and train those candidates that reflect the value of your organization?
Which people? Members of the branch?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So what we have is we have trainings from the national level. And what for instance, for myself, before I was president, I was the education chair. And so I was able to become a member of the education chair, which automatically kind of put me on executive committee. And I was able to kind of see the process, the ins and outs kind of how we, operate as a branch. If you want to just kind of be a branch member, that's great too, because we have so many different committees. And I think once we have you're in a committee, you really have the room to kind of hone in on what you want, what your branch or committee wants to do. And so for us, it's just kind of about us implementing, okay, these are my interests. I'm interested in health, or I'm interested in political action. And then you're working with your chair. And then from there, we kind of flesh out those ideas in general membership meeting. And so that's where we'll kind of have our ideas about voter registration drives. If we're doing anything in terms of a school or a scholarship, those are kind of the ways that we kind of just get involved in the branch.
And let me ask you this too, Ms. Ms. President. How do you increase retention of members by maintaining your current membership?
Yes. I think the way to retain membership is to reach out to members and make sure that their opinions and voices are being heard. I think that especially now, it's just a phone call or a text message or email. I try to make sure that I'm giving all of the information to the paying members, because I want you to know that this is kind of where we are as a branch, as an organization. And I think that has helped us even with people coming to our monthly meetings, members coming to our monthly meetings. I think that plays a huge role. Just people feeling like they are, being a part of the process. So that I think helps with retaining. I think having activities helps with retaining. We all want to help in our own way, and so I think that sometimes we just need some guidance on how to help. And so you may not want to help with the scholarship, but you may want to help with the vaccine, or you may want to help with voter registration. There's a lot of different things that you could do. And so I think just kind of letting people know that this is what we do, and you just jump in and we figure it out from there.
Where in Goose Creek do you want to expand your branch membership?
Well, Goose Creek really is two parts. There's the city of Goose Creek and there's the town of Goose Creek. And I would love our membership to be increased both places. And I live in the city of Goose Creek, but I'm from the town of Goose Creek. And so there's a lot of growth in both areas. And I think that there are a lot of the same issues in both areas. And so there are a lot of issues, I think, that the town of Goose Creek has that maybe the city doesn't have. And I would like to see more members from the town of Goose Creek so that they will have more of a voice, because a lot of times they aren't being helped by the city because they're not a part of the city jurisdiction. And so I would like to see us to kind of have more membership coming from the town of Goose Creek. And I've been working with our local organizations. We have Goose Creek Concerned Citizens, local churches, things like that, to kind of get that membership up.
Yeah, and will you actually establish a quality program to build community with incoming professionals and other people?
That is a great idea. I haven't thought about it, but that actually is a great idea. And I would love to do that because there's so many professionals coming in and out of Goose Creek. We have Boeing, Google, things like that. And so many of us are living in Goose Creek and traveling. And I think it would be great to have a professional network of, hey, we're all in Goose Creek. These are the things that we're seeing, and we want to make Goose Creek as good as it can be. I think that's a great idea. I might take that one.
And how much money would you raise for regular operation budgets for the Goose Creek NAACP?
Well, we are 501c4, so we are a nonprofit, and pretty much all of our monies that come in are coming in through fundraising. And so it's a fundraising and membership and donations. And so what I would like us to see is to kind of increase our sponsorships. Like I said, there are a lot of organizations and companies coming into Berkeley County as a whole. And so I would like to see partner with organizations and companies and see how they could help us with some of our goals in terms of education and health and things of that nature. And then, of course, we just want to kind of rev up our fundraising. We have one main fundraiser every year called the Freedom Fund that every branch has. And the funds from that kind of support us a lot throughout the year. And then, of course, we usually have our luncheon pre-COVID, and that money goes towards our scholarships. And so we are definitely looking for fundraising opportunities and ways to increase our resources, definitely.
And let me ask you this, Ms. President. How do you retain the organization's loyalty?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think that a lot of what retains loyalty for us is that a lot of the people that are in the Goose Creek branch are from Goose Creek or live in Goose Creek. And so we all kind of have seen the growth of Goose Creek and kind of feeling like making sure that we want Goose Creek to be, represented. And so I think that kind of carries its own kind of loyalty. I think that we just kind of make sure that we're putting the information out there for everyone, and we are, we're the Goose Creek branch. And so we want to make sure that, everything that you get from out of this is something that is affecting Goose Creek. And a lot of the things that are affecting Goose Creek are affecting other areas too. It's affecting the Charleston area. It's affecting North Charleston or Moncks Corner. And all of these places have branches too. And so I think it's important for you to know that, hey, if you live in this community or you work in this community, then, join this branch, because you're going to know that are affecting this community. So I think that we have a really good understanding of that. And then also, we are not that old. A lot of our members have been with Goose Creek since its formation, so a lot of loyalty in that, because they've seen how much the branch has grown even in this short amount of time. So.
And I know it's going to be a redundant question. You said it a lot during this particular interview. But what will be your message, or what do you hope your message will be about the Goose Creek NAACP 5 years from now?
Oh, gosh. I hope that in 5 years, the Goose Creek NAACP is thriving, that it is even bigger than it is now. I think that we have the capability and we have the mission to make sure that we are including as many people in the story of Goose Creek as possible. And so in 5 years, I would like to see our membership grow. I would say probably even at least 25 to 30%, even more than that, maybe. I would like us to be working with organizations, sponsorships, and just kind of implementing the change that we see really in Goose Creek. That's really what I would like to see. I think that the heart of the organization is membership. And so I think that if we can increase membership, then we can increase, all eyes on kind of Goose Creek, and kind of making sure that the people that need to be held accountable are being held accountable, and also making sure that we are helping residents of Goose Creek. So.
Sharina Haynes, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to the award-winning Quintin Spokes Ups.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome anytime.